Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Weezy. So, yes, it's February, but we're going to be talking about gardening. Have you ever gone all the way back and started those seeds instead of going out to the home center and picking up the plants? Well, today I have gardening enthusiast Debbie Howard with me and her little helper, Hallie, who is the gardener in training. And they are going to show us ways to go ahead and start our seeds now so that they're ready to put into our garden back in like April and May. So let's get started with this edition of Wheezy. Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome to my guests Debbie Howard and Hallie Nolan. They are Debbie is the gardening enthusiast and Hallie is the gardener in training. And she is learning from her grandmother the art of seed propagation. And we are going to learn from this today too. So welcome Debbie and Hallie. How are you girls today?
Good. We're very good. It's snowing outside and we're inside and all comfy cozy.
Mm, well, it's rainy and drizzly here, so and it's cold. So um, but anyways, so Deb, how did you get started in gardening? What has inspired you to become this very enthusiastic gardener that you are?
About 10 years ago, I just kept hearing this voice inside me that people need to know how to grow their own food. So I invited some people over and I didn't know anything. And so it was kind of a disaster. So I applied to the Penn State Master Gardening Program and I was in that about 3 years. Now, most people who go to the Master Gardener program, they already know a lot. I did not know anything, but they just kept encouraging me to stay, and I did. And, I learned a lot there, but I'm no longer a master gardener, but I can plant my garden. I know all the steps to take now. And it's really just there was one man, he was not a master gardener, but he would say to I'd ask him questions, he'd say to me, "Well, try that, and if it works, do it again. But if it doesn't work, okay, try something different." So
Yeah, I
that's
do a
really
lot of that with my gardening too, and
it's
I and it goes live here on Wheezy. It
mhm.
trials, fails, and so I like to call those additions um, nailed it or not. So, Deb, today we are going to be talking about um, not plant propagation, but seed propagation. How to get those seeds started and to be successful at it. Because I know I have started seeds so many times, and I get to such a point, and then they wilt, they get too
Mhm,
leggy, and
mhm,
they never go to fruition.
mhm,
So,
mhm.
what is the first thing that you think you need in order to be successful in doing this?
Um, will you hand me that bag of the right soil mix? You need a lightweight soil mix, and you know, if you go on Pinterest or go to a university edu gardening site, they'll tell you what it is. I've tried it. I prefer to spend a little bit of money and I buy my own seed starting soil mix, and it already has everything in it that you need to start your seeds with. So
Okay,
that's
so you don't mix your own. You just go ahead and
no,
buy the
no,
pre-mixed.
yes.
What is some of the other just give me a list of the materials that you need.
You need the seed cells. You need your seeds, of course. You need popsicle sticks to identify what's planted in each cell. What else do we need, Hallie? We need water.
So Deb, um what are we looking at here?
Okay, so I bought a couple of new kind of seed starting trays this year. These actually started, they were about, I can't show you. They were about half an inch high.
Okay, so these are
Anyway,
the
but
ones that you add water and they inflate?
you you add warm water and they fill up.
Okay.
So we're doing an experiment um with these, and then I have, so we're gonna plant seeds in this, and then the other thing I want to do, Louise, is we're gonna fill another tray with the soil that we have mixed already or ready. All right, so go ahead, Hallie. Hallie and I are gonna, I use these skewers. Oh yeah, they were wooden skewers. So I, when I was in master gardening, I went to a local garden center, and I learned from them how to start seeds. I helped them get a lot of seeds started for their season. All right, so we just do this, and you just poke. We're going to put 3 seeds in each cell today,
Okay.
because sometimes seeds won't germinate for
Mhm.
whatever reason. So we do we do 3, and then and we don't have this opened yet. So we're going to need to talk about, like, this may sound silly, but I used to just rip the tops of the seed packet off, but you
Mhm.
don't want to do that. You want to gently open it so you can reclose it.
Okay, so go ahead and put that in front of the camera
Yep.
and
Let's see.
show us.
Yep. We just want to gently open the
Now,
seed
why
packet.
is that, Debbie? Why don't you?
Well, yeah, because you may not use all the seeds, or I mean, I've had some seeds that they don't germinate at all. So you're gonna have to go back and do it over again. But
So that's a protective measure
usually,
of keeping the seeds good?
yep.
Mhm.
Now
Okay.
this is, it depends on where you buy your seeds. Now these seeds are from 2019, and these may or may not germinate. But a way you can test if the seeds are going to germinate is put them on a damp paper towel and put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in a sunny window.
Mhm.
And that will tell you, is a third of the seeds sprouted, or half, or 100%. So, if it's only a third of them that germinated, that you're going to have to plant more of these seeds. But these seeds have been kept in the basement where it's cool and dark. So we're going to see. But I have to, I'll tell you another story about seeds. But right now, because of COVID, my normal catalog where I order seeds from are only distributing to commercial growers. So
Oh.
yeah, I have a, it's it's a different year. Yeah. This thing.
Yeah. And then did you poke your 3 holes?
Okay.
And then go ahead and pop your little seed in there. And what seeds are these? These are Brussels sprouts?
Nope, these are cabbage.
Cabbage.
The other thing about your seed packet is it gives you a lot of information. Um, this says sow 2 seeds per cell in a 50 or 72 cell plug flat, which we do not have, and that's okay. Um, and the seedlings should be ready to transplant in 4 to 6 weeks. And the the seeds that we start now, these are called brassicas. A cabbage is a brassica, and the Brussels sprout, and the cauliflower. And I don't have any broccoli seeds here, but as soon as your soil, and if you you have to look at your growing zones. we're in zone 6 or 7. So as soon as your soil is 50 degrees, you can plant cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, broccoli, um, those
I'll have
types
to
of
wait for the
plants.
fear of frost being.
No,
Oh,
that's your later
okay.
vegetables, your tomatoes, peppers, things like that. But we're we'll be also plant starting some tomato plants because they take a little bit longer. Anyway, there's a whole process. So we're
Yeah.
just doing seed starting, so I won't go any further into that. Okay, so
Okay,
do you
so
want us to do any more of this, or do you want us to fill the other one and demonstrate that?
let's just move on to the other one.
Okay.
That's the one
Okay.
thing people do with videos. They think they have to show everything, every move they make, and it's like, no,
Yeah.
no, you don't. Let's speed it up for camera purposes because people don't want to
Yeah.
watch paint dry.
Right. Okay, this is our container of soil,
Okay,
our
move the
soil mix.
stop.
Yep,
Move the
yep.
camera back a little bit, and then
Let me
Haley,
do
if you can
that.
just kind of hold it like up over top to get, yeah,
Okay.
perfect. And then your
Okay.
grandma can do her
Yeah.
hands.
All right. So, Hallie filled this container with some of our seed starting soil, and then we dampen it. That's how they do it in the greenhouses. They dampen it some before they put it in the cell. So now we're gonna fill these little cells up.
And do you buy anything special for the cells, or do you reuse what you've had from previous, or?
You can reuse. The important thing is plants are just like human beings, and you don't want any bacteria from last year that could have been in those cells, or maybe there's some mold. So you always need to wash whatever you're going to reuse with a light solution of Clorox water,
Okay.
and that disinfects everything. These are brand new, so I didn't have to worry about that today. So we have our soil in there, and we're going to start some Brussels sprouts in this. So I'm going to open up my seed packet, and this is new seeds this year, and I had to order my seeds. This is a different company than I normally use, Pine Tree Garden Seeds.
Mm-hmm.
So new, completely new company this year. And we have the room in here, so I'm going to plant 4 seeds in each cell. And then when I'm ready to transplant, they'll each go in their own container. So did you have a question, Louise?
Well, while you're planting the seeds, what's the difference between the seeds that you use and what we get at like the garden centers, like the big name,
Yeah, I
well-known
mean,
names seeds?
I use a variety of everything. I
Okay. So there is no real big difference. You just there's one seed.
um I have a broccoli seed I love because you get such nice big heads of broccoli, and it really, once you take that main broccoli head off, you keep getting all these little offshoots. So, you can have like little nice pieces of broccoli
Okay.
almost every day. So, it just depends on how much garden you're doing and what you're doing it for.
Okay. So how many cells of the Brussels sprouts do you normally grow?
Well, I didn't even grow any last year. My husband loves them, and my daughter and her husband grew some. They actually still have Brussels sprout stalks standing in their garden, and the Brussels sprouts will still be fine.
Oh, wow.
But they they make a lot of really good recipes that they just love, and the whole family will eat them. I'm just not a Brussels sprout eater. My husband loves them, and so I cook
It's
them for
not my
him.
love either. I've tried many times.
Nope. So just for today's purposes, okay, so we have the popsicle sticks, and Hallie's already written cabbage on there, and she wrote the date that we did these seeds.
Okay.
Okay, we've planted our seeds in here, and we've marked each one of them. And there's water down in the bottom tray. And that'll keep it moist from the bottom when you have it on the heat mat, if you use a heat mat. And this is my spray bottle. You can use a mister, you use whatever you want, but this is cheap and easy. Just poke some holes in the top of a water bottle and just spray your seedlings, your seeds. And you don't want to get them too wet. That's
Okay.
So then you just put a top on it and you put it under your grow light. And this tray does not have a lid. So I've never used this kind of tray before. So maybe it's not even necessary to do this, but sometimes
Why break from procedure of what you know that works from before?
yep. So it just makes it like a little rain garden in there and keeps them nice and moist, and
A nice little warm
hopefully we'll have,
incubator for your sweet widow seeds.
yep, yep. Got our timer on. We got everything all done. So, Louise, you were talking about your plants and they get leggy and so on. This is a homemade growing light system. And this is just a regular shop light with regular light bulbs in the shop. I don't use the ultraviolet lights or the growing lights. And you can. I mean, it depends on the person. I did try them and I just didn't use them. But the thing is you need a piece of chain, and the light should always be at 2 inches over your this pot, and then the next thing as it grows, you're going to have to move your light up, so it's always 2 inches over. But the reason that you get leggy plants is your light is too far away from your seed cells. So that's what they call leggy. They get leggy, and it's usually a very weak plant. It's not
Yep,
going to
that's always
produce.
as far as I've gotten. They've been leggy and
Yeah.
then they just didn't produce very well.
So I have a heat mat here that I'm setting this on. And that was one of my mistakes when I first started. I didn't know that I needed a heat mat. So
I've never even heard about a heat mat for the plants. So this is
I hadn't either. And you don't have to use a heat mat if you have a good warm place or you're just starting seeds in a sunny window. You're good to go. But
you're in the colds of Pennsylvania. So
yep. So I don't have this plugged in yet, which I don't really need to today. And then so that's
so where do you find the heat mat at, Debbie?
I bought it through a catalog. Let me see. I brought my catalog down. This, can you show her that? This is Gardner Supply Company. There's another wonderful company called Johnny's. I just recommend, even though right now they're only shipping to commercial gardeners, but the Johnny's catalog has every kind of information you need about your plants, about what is disease resistant, what you need to use for different diseases. It's just a really, really good catalog.
So it's a good educational resource also.
It is a very good educational. I never throw a Johnny's catalog away, because if there's somebody who wants to learn, that's something I always pass on to them. So I really need a little bit longer piece of chain here, because this is a little more than 2 inches off, but it's fine because I'm going to have the heat mat underneath it. Now, once the seeds emerge and there's 2 leaves on it, then I'll turn the heat mat off, because then you give it too much heat. And we're going to be moving my setup because you really need your area needs to be at least 65 degrees when you're starting your own seeds. So we're going to move this to an inside wall. I just thought of that today. The other thing with your plants is they need at least 16 hours of light every day. So we have this timer on here, and this will shut the light off when it needs to be off. I don't have to come back down here and physically do it.
Yeah.
So you need a timer.
So it helps you keep in the consistency of the
Yep,
time and the light in
yep,
the
yep,
darkness. Mhm.
yep. And then I mean that's about it. I just will you just step over here with the camera, Hallie? I want to show you. Now I have these big pieces of foil up here because this place will be packed. I will get as many cells on this on a mat. I have two. I have actually have three mats, but the one is I don't have a setup for it. Anyway, because sometimes stuff gets back there, so it doesn't get quite enough light. So you just put this foil, which will reflect more light on it. They call it a foil curtain. The
Yeah.
thing I have here, I have a my garden. It's a 5-year garden journal, but we record everything that we do here. We record all of that every year. And, when we do the transplants, so you have a record to go back to, and, you can say, well, oh, I really didn't need to leave them under the light that long, or, just, it's
Mhm.
just for your own information, really. But it's really a seed starting plan that we'll have available, and somebody's going to be is going to get a free copy of this, right, Louise?
Yeah. Well, we'll provide that information, a free PDF.
Okay. Okay. Yep. So I just wanted to talk about every state, every county, every parish, whatever part of the country that you live in has a university cooperative extension office. And if you go there, they have so much literature, they can help you answer so many questions. Now, this happens to be a 4-H book, but this one, I was involved in a teaching garden, a summer camp. Kids went to the summer camp at the YMCA, and every Friday they came for 2 hours we had a teaching garden. So we were teaching children, and we actually won an award for that. As a matter of fact, it's not an
Oh,
easy award.
nice.
Yeah, so that was several years back there. But anyway, this is a really nice book to have. If you just want to get your children involved, you want to make sure they know how to grow food. Um, and it gives a lot of fun activities in here that you can do with your children. But if you go to your own county extension office, you can get one of those.
Okay. Good information, good resources. They might that might help some of us understand better too when it's put into simpler terms.
Okay, so the thing about gardening is there are many, many layers to learning, and it's you just get the best information you can, and you start there, and try to find other gardeners, and go and ask them your questions. And I since COVID, everything has changed, but master gardeners do a variety of workshops all summer long. I think they're once a month. So if you check with your local master gardening group, you'll be able to get that information. But um, I don't think they've done it here. I don't think they did it this past year because of COVID, and that's really a shame. But there's lots of gardeners, and you can learn that way, and learn by trial and error, and don't give up. You know,
Hmm.
one thing doesn't work, but you there's just a lot to learn. So I'm not going to say any more today because that'll just it, we're talking about
We
stuff.
can go on and on and on. Because I love gardening too. Unfortunately, right now we're not in a place where we can really have a garden, but we study so that in our future we can. But so you start now, and we will come back and see Deb when it's transplant time, and we are going to be going through the gardening process this season, following Deb's garden because she has it. and
True.
and and her assistant Hallie. She's lucky she has assistants because it's a lot of work. It's a
It is
lot of work.
not work. Yeah. Mostly I do our main garden. They're her family, my daughter and husband and her siblings, they have their own gardens. So they're needed there to help. But, I'm always looking for a little help here and there. But I've tried to find ways that it's not so labor intensive and I don't have to do so much hand weeding. But I don't I don't want to put a lot of sprays and stuff on my when I'm growing produce because of the chemical content. So I do have to work a little bit harder um, if I want to do that. But I have found some ways to cover up the ground.
All right. Well, we will come back another time, and we when it gets closer to garden season and we get them planted in there, we will come back for those tips because we're always looking for ways to work just a little bit easier and and more chemical free. So, Deb and Hallie, it's been a pleasure to talk to you today, and keep keep us with pictures of progress, and then we'll come back and when it's time to transplant, we will go through the transplant process. So, everybody, I hope you found this information helpful, and like Deb said, we have a free PDF to give to you, um, and I will let you know how to do that in the comments. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.